Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Puan Nur Azlina binti Ishaq. My name is Nur Hadira Natasha binti Muhammad Saleh. My matric number is 15D1819F 2021. Today, I would like to present about the synopsis of the movie Up by Ed Asner from my own understanding as an introduction. The film centers on an elderly widower named Carl Fredricksen and earnest young wilderness explorer named Russell. By lifting his house with 1,000 of balloons, 78 years old, Carl set out to fulfill his lifelong dream to see the world to South America and to complete a promise he made to his childhood sweetheart and beloved wife, Ellie, to the mysterious Paradise Falls, which was their dream to go there. Along the way, he found out Russell, the squad boy who accidentally lived off with him. They had a lot of journey together and discover a lot of adventure together to chase Ellis and his dream to go to the Paradise Falls to keep his promise that he made with his wife a long time ago. The process of changes in the movie is technology, economy, and government. For technology, in this movie, we can see that Russell wakes the car up to tell him that he steered the house, and that time they were in South America using a GPS. Soon after, Russell accidentally tosses GPS out of the windows. The other situation is when the soul dogs return to Mans, who react angrily. When the dog explained that Doug is on Kevin's side, he come up with the idea to use Doug's tracking device. Suddenly, the spotlight falls on Kevin. Mans' dirigible had followed her. Kevin tries to run, but a net shoots out of dirigible and catch her. Next, first changes in the movie is economy. Ellie become a tour guide in a zoo and Carl become a balloon salesman, working side by side. They go through many stages of their life together, and after Ellie suffers a miscarriage and they are told they can't have a child, the couple remember their childhood dreams of visiting Paradise Falls. So they decide to save up some money, but unfortunately a tire blows out, Carl breaks his legs, a tree crashes into the house and break the roof during a storm, forced them to use the money they had been saving. The last one, process of changes in the movie is under government. When a corporation is trying to move Carl out, which will break what he had promised to his wife, he then ends up to sell with a construction worker over his broken mailbox, and he is forced by a court order to move into a retirement home. He then realizes this will be his last chance to fulfill that promise to his wife. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. I am Inta Mastura binti Muhammad Nordin and my matrix number is 15D1819F 2002. I will continue with question C about the probable sources of individual resistance to change. People resist change because they fear the consequences. Change means learning new habits and facing new situations. Learning new skills comes with the uncertainty of being able to master those skills. It's easy to see why change can seem threatening. Sometimes individual traits can make one change resistant. Culture, personality, and prior experiences can contribute to one's level of acceptance where change is concerned. From this film, the main character, which is Carl Fredricksen, has shown some of the individual resistance to change. The first probable sources of individual resistance to change is by the emotional incidents that occur in Carl's life. In this film, Carl Fredricksen, which is the main character, is a young and a happy-go-lucky person when in childhood. He became happier when he found Ellie, who also idolizes the same adventurer like him. They are working in a zoo as a balloon vendor and make the children happy. They get married and grew old together happily, but suddenly Ellie contracted an illness and died of old age. Carl turns into a lonely old man, bitter, cranky, and missing his wife terribly. He also doesn't enjoy being social and having people in his business. This shows that the main character's transformation is one of the individual resistant to change, from a cheerful go-lucky guy to a grouchy and grumpy one due to the emotional incidents of his wife's death. The second probable sources of individual resistance to change is Carl Fredricksen learning to move on from his past. After Carl finding a note from his wife encouraging him to go on a new adventure, Carl gets his head on straight goes after Russell, who had run off to save the bird. Carl empties his house by remove all the furniture so his house can float back and flew away. Carl discovers that Russell had been captured by Mance, but Carl manages to free both Russell and Kevin. Mance pursues them around the airship, finally cornering Doug, Kevin and Russell inside Carl's tattered house. Carl lures Kevin out through a window and back onto the airship with Doug and Russell clinging to her back just as Mance is about to close in. Mance leaves after that only to snag his foot on some balloon lines and fall to his death. Snapped from its tether, the house descends out of sight through the clouds, which Carl accepts the fact that he just loses his house as being for the best. From this situation, it can be seen that Carl has changed his thoughts by letting go of his house that full with Alice's memories and save Russell instead. Finally, the last one is Carl Fredricksen able to adapt something new. Carl learns that Russell doesn't have any support from his family and he goes on stage with Russell at the Boy Scout badge ceremony to present him with the early badge and surround himself with the social environment. They go out to get ice cream and play a game that Russell used to play as a child with his dad. This scene is showing that Carl has changed his attitude and adapted something new that he had to accept and keep living without Ellie. At the end, Carl, the grumpy and bitter old man, has changed to cheerful and surround himself with social environment, without Ellie by his side. Even though there are these probable sources resistant to change, there are several tactics that individual can overcome this change that will be presented by my next group mates. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Taija Wei. Number matric is 15DT19F2014. So I will suggest the suitable tactic in overcoming resistance to change. Okay, the first is communication. So Elliot is dead and Carl becomes a lonely old man, cranky and miss his wife terribly. He also doesn't enjoy being social and having people in his business. So in this situation, communication is an effective way to overcome resistance to change. It is suitable for situations where there is a lack of information and an unknown environment. For example, a construction worker communicates with Carl about the demolition of his house in a friendly tone and found a house more suitable for the elderly to live in. So if Carl understands all the facts and eliminates all misunderstandings, then resistance will naturally disappear. Okay, the second is the negotiate with Mance. Mance has been searching for giant birds all his life and using them as specimens to prove that he is right. So in these situations, negotiations may be a necessary strategy because Mance has always believed that it is right to risk catching giant birds. So Carl can try to negotiate with Mance. It is not right to catch giant birds. This is because it will cause the children of giant birds to lose their mothers and starve to death. So in the near future, the giant bird will become extinct. So Carl's house can also reach Paradise Falls safely and will not disappear from the clouds due to battle. Fulfill Carl's promise to Ellie. Okay, so the last one is support of a positive Russell. Carl learns that Russell doesn't have any support from his family. In this situation, Carl got it right and support of a positive Russell. When Russell's father fails to present him with his final badge, So Carl fulfills the role and gives Russell a grape soda badge that Ellie gave him when they first meet. So calling it the Ellie badge. So afterwards they sit on a curb together in front of an ice cream shop. Carl acting as a surrogate grandfather to Russell. So that's all for me. Thank you.